How's your day going?
It's going.
Going? Have you had your water boy yet?
No, I'm about to put it in. Right here. We're acting like we're advertised. We're not.
What flavor out of this pack did you like the best? There's this watermelon one, and then there was this like a strawberry lemonade.
I didn't even know we had the strawberry lemonade.
I know. Have you ever noticed that when you get one, it tastes different, and one's a little bit more sour? That's why. I didn't know that until
I didn't.
we're on
taste
like our
anything.
third box, and I didn't even realize that they were different flavors. The only reason I noticed was because they changed their branding.
Anything crazy happened today?
It always happens crazy, but I'm here for it.
I'm here
You hear
for
my voice?
I do.
It's so crazy. Yeah, I've got a doctor's appointment tomorrow. It's allergies have been just killing me lately. So hopefully we can get this voice cleared up.
Yeah, you sound weird.
I sound what?
What?
I sound what?
What?
What do I sound like?
Do your water boy.
Anyway, so what'd you do all day today?
I just relaxed. I spent time with my God. I was talking to him. I'm trying to really grow my relationship in Christ because my relationship is really good with him, but I really like there's some things like habits, people, like there's some things I'm just really trying to get rid of and like to really fully be like locked in with my Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying to focus on that a lot today.
You know that song that you played me yesterday?
Awesome.
Awesome, yeah. I've listened to that all day today, and I listened to it on my way to work this morning. And I've only heard it that last night when we played it.
Yeah.
And I was completely engulfed in the song this morning. And it was like I knew every single word. And I know he kind of preps you as you go, but it was like I knew every single word. And so I really got to just be in the moment and really felt that song. And man, it hit hard. It hit hard. If you haven't listened to that song and really got into that song, you need to download it.
This is my favorite song. It's my favorite Christian song.
It's now become mine too. I didn't even know it existed. So it's really cool.
I heard it on TikTok and I was like, I've heard this before, but I don't know where I heard this. And then I listened to it and I was like, I know half the words. I don't know how I know half the words. But that's the Holy Spirit going through you when you can know half the words.
Amen. I mean, it was so good. Like I was brought to tears when I was thanking him for allowing me to be in the moment and sing with it. And like I literally got choked up. I mean, that's how powerful this song is and how it feels if you just really just let go of everything that's going on in your mind and in this, your emotions and stuff, and just really just get into the song. When you come out of that song, you go, wow, that was powerful. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And so it's now at the top of my playlist.
So it is Awesome by Charles Jenkins and the Fellowship Chicago. There we go again. You notice it's singing, stuttering. I was very afraid of storms for a very long time. And we had a really bad storm coming through. It wasn't during hurricane season, I don't think. But I was like I'm still kind of scared of storms because like they could really do big old damage. But when I discovered that song, I was playing it when I was like really afraid because it was like 2 days before it hit and I was scared. And so I sung that song. I was crying on my way home and it's crazy how much it changes your life.
It really does. I've had one or two other songs like that kind of impact me. But I still don't think that those other two songs impacted me the way that this one did.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's also another song. It's The Story I'll Tell. It's really good too. Because she's basically saying, my God did not fail. And that's the story I'll tell. And I'm like, girl.
I don't want to put who has it on here because I don't have her permission. But it's somebody that I know that has a tattoo on her arm. And I'm just not a tattoo girl. So I'm not going to get it. But
I'll get fake tattoos.
I love what it represents and I love what it is. And it just says, but God. And a lot of times when she explained it to me as to what she put on there, I thought, wow, that's pretty powerful too. So it says, but ... but God. And so it's like, well, we don't have this, we don't have that, or, we don't have this. That's right. But God,
yeah,
God's going to provide but God is going to, do this. And so that's her phrase on her arm. And so whenever she starts to doubt or she starts to panic or whatever, she looks at it and it's like, yeah, we got all this stuff going on, but
But
God
God.
is more powerful. God is the Almighty. God is going to take care of you. He's going to protect you. He's going to heal you. You know, so all these things that we've got, but God is going to do this for you.
I love it.
And I'm getting teary
I
eyed
know.
just thinking about it. And so I just thought that was so powerful, and I was just like, wow, you know, I never thought about putting just but God. That just two words is just so powerful.
Yeah. What's the guy? We listened to him last night. He was like, you have two things to worry about.
Oh, I don't know his name, but apparently he does like live shows for you to go to.
Really?
Yes, because that same girl with the But God, I showed it to her today, and she was like, "We saw him in concert, or not in concert, but live." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, we have to go,"
We have to
because
go.
I crack up. A friend of mine actually sent that to me via Facebook Messenger, and I think I've watched it like 15
It's so
times.
funny.
And it's basically you have two things in life to worry about, and if you search that, it should pull up. And there you go. But
See, that's
it's
how it
so
is.
good, and that puts things into
It
perspective for you
does.
too.
It really does, because he's being funny, but also in a light where it's funny and you're not depressed the whole time. I
Right.
like how he did it.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I like how he did it.
Yeah.
And you know, you start as you're growing up, you actually start to recognize a lot more like metaphors and life lessons in like movies and like
Mhm.
everyday sayings that you were like, wait, that was just a saying to me. Like it never meant anything. Like
Yeah.
now it's meaning something because I understand because I went through it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yep.
There's a lot. I can't think of it. But one thing, going back to me talking to God and getting like a closer relationship with him, I am listening to this girl. I cannot remember her name for the life of me, but her name is Leah or Leanne, but she calls herself Lee, I think. I'm gonna insert it just so you know. And I'm listening to her in like everything that she's saying, and it was put my faith before my feelings, because the devil will use your feelings
Oh, amen.
because he knows how strong they are,
Mhm.
and with us, we feel them. and
Yeah.
we usually put our feelings past our faith, and that's what gets us into really big trouble. So I'm trying my hardest to get out of putting my feelings first and letting God. I'm trying to surrender to God. I'm asking him to help me and teach me how to surrender to him.
Kendra told me one time, she was like, it's like your luggage. You need to just go take it to him. All your worries, all your, you know, fears and stuff. And you just need to lay it down. Like lay your luggage down and turn around, walk away and never do it. And I'm like, you know, that's what I want to do. Right. That's my intentions. I have the best of intentions to do it. And I unknowingly and unwillingly somehow pick them back up. So like I'll be just sitting there watching TV or doing an everyday task, and then the thought will pop, or the fear or the anxiety will pop back in, and then that's me picking it back up, and then I hone in on it, and then I feel it, and then it's like I never dropped it off to him at all. And the other thing that I realized too is that a lot of times we go to everyone else to talk about it or for solutions or for, you know, advice, and we always end up going to God last. But God, that's where we always find our answers, isn't it?
Amen.
Why do we go to him last? What's the biggest lesson that you learned in your walk with faith? Like, I'll go first to kind of tell you. You can take it any way that you want it, but for me, and I think a lot of people struggle with this, I didn't feel worthy enough to, how do I put that, to
This
kind
could
of
be a long podcast.
yeah, I didn't feel worthy enough to kind of pray for myself and to, you know, whenever I would go to pray for myself, I would always say something like, you know, oh, that's so minuscule to what people are going through. So I think for me, I always had this reservation with praying instead of just, you know, just letting it all out. And I'm going to reference Kendra again because, you know,
We love her.
gosh, she's so
I wish she.
amazing.
We need her on here.
We do. She needs to come on here. I love her so much. And God put her in my life when I needed her the most.
Amen.
And so see, I'm gonna get all teary.
She was also.
See, I can't do this. No,
She was
we're gonna
also.
have to cut.
She was
We're gonna
also.
have to cut.
She was also our personal trainer. So like our relationship with her was a lot. It was
God, I
really.
love her so much. I think about that time. Sorry guys for crying.
I remember the story. Do you want to share that story?
I do want to share that story because I feel like this is a great place to share that story.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Safe place. This is going to be a safe space where we're going to be vulnerable with each other. We're going to be real with each other. And I
we're
mean,
gonna
we,
sniff.
we can really get real a bit. But we're just, we want this to be a safe space because we know this world is,
It's tough.
it's tough. It is. And we've been through stuff. Maybe
Hmm.
not the same stuff, but we've still been through enough to know,
Yeah.
to know enough to be real.
Yeah. So I was going through. She was my personal trainer at the time, lifelong friend now. Um,
We met
but
her at our gym, didn't we?
yes, we did. But she knew me well enough. I was going through some hard times at a job that I was working at, and so it was just one of those things where she knew me well enough to where sometimes I'd come to work out and we would just pray. Like she just knew to hold me and like pray and stuff. And so one day she was like, "Just talk to him like he's your best friend," and that's what I did. And she was like he's just in the car seat beside you. And so that's what I did the next morning. I just kind of looked over at that car seat like I'm looking at you right now, and I was just like, "Hi, God." I felt so silly. I'll be honest with you. I felt so silly. But then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, just the words just started to come out, and I started talking to him like I talked to Lana. And all of a sudden, and just a little backstory, I hadn't been able to take, I was so stressed out that I hadn't been able to take a deep breath in months. I mean, months. And so I remember just talking to him and then crying, of course, but I could take I took a deep breath for the first time in months. And I was laughing and crying at the same time. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. I can take a deep breath. And I was so just overwhelmed with the emotions. I could feel him. I could feel his presence and stuff. And so I was going to turn on the radio after I got done praying, but I was so in the moment that I was like, no, I want to continue talking to him. And so I did. And I had about a 45-minute ride to work. And this moment meant so much to me. And it was so impactful that I started telling people at work about it. And I'm literally sitting in my office and I'm so into the story that I'm telling my coworker. And I didn't even realize that three men had walked into my office that were literally holding 2x4s, asking to build a cross on our property. And it was for some reason I saved the brochure that they had that was for that as a memory. But and three wise men walked into my office and asked to build a cross on our property. And I was like, I hear you, God. I see you. Like he shows up for you when you need him the most. And you just have to, and he shows you that he's there. You just have to be looking for it. No, I don't want to say looking for it, but you have to be, I don't know what's the word I'm looking
Let him
for.
in.
Yeah, you have to let him in. And all of a sudden you'll see all the ways that he shows up for you. And we've even been noticing it together,
Yeah. Yeah, we have.
in the things that we've done. And
Yeah.
Lana here has helped strengthen my relationship with God and stuff. And I have it back underneath my mattress. I love this. I love this. I love you so much. Thank you for this. We were switching our mattress around. We flip flop it every so often, and my husband and I were flipping it, and I just happened to see this like yellow post-it note, and I look at it, and it was during a time that my husband and I were sick, and Lana had put a Bible verse on this about was it about being sick? And she had stuck it under our mattress for like prayers for healing and stuff, and it just meant so
And I never
much.
told him.
No, she never told me.
And
I
this
never
was
knew it was
this
there.
was maybe a year ago, maybe more. This was that long ago,
We flip
and
our mattress normally more than that, just so you know.
jeez, mom.
I know, but a minute, we like to rotate it.
Yeah, I
Um,
do too.
but yeah, I never knew it was there. But the fact that she cared so much about us to put a healing verse underneath our mattress just meant the world. Thank you. I love you.
Yeah, you're
I
welcome.
love you so much.
Going back to what I've learned is worth. And you
Mhm.
are worth more than you could ever imagine. If you think that you cannot find better, go to God because God has something better. If it bothers you, it bothers God. So you're worth losing that person because every lesson. And I've also learned this. Okay, so worth was one of them, and every trial and error that God is putting you through, He's doing it to help you grow and as a teaching moment. He's putting you through this, and you have to be open into saying, thank you for putting me through this. Words of Lee. Thank you for putting me through this. Thank you for trusting me enough to let me go through this.
Mm-hmm.
But the worth, it is so beautiful once you find your confidence because the Lord made you in his image.
Mm-hmm.
He handcrafted you. Handcrafted you. And it is so beautiful once you have that confidence. Not ego, because the Lord will humble you. Always stay humble because he will get you. I know. And just walk in confidence because you know the Lord Jesus Christ. You have him by your side and God made you.
You know what else too? I feel like when we get stir crazy, or we're in our jobs, or we're in certain relationships, or we're in these things. Mainly, like I'm talking jobs and
Yeah.
stuff like that for now. But when you start getting stir crazy and stuff like that, do you think that's God talking to you, saying like, "Hey, I'm shaking your foundation. It's time to move. It's time to grow. It's time to take that leap. I need, it's time." And that's what kind of prompts us to move on to the next step that he wants us to move on to. Do you think you feel like that?
I do. Yeah. I feel like
too.
also like when things start to bother you and when you feel out of place also.
Hmm.
I feel like that's when he's like, all right, it's time for you to trust me.
I just wanted to be closer to you.
Oh, thank you.
I see that you've got two things down there. You want to tell me about them?
I do. I have a pink puma and I have a teal puma.
Let me move that. Okay, so show me what you got.
Okay, so these new Fleur things, they're on TikTok. And I was like, okay, why not? I'm not too big on vanilla, but they got me with the coconut. I want to smell like coconut.
The Fleur.
Yeah, so that one's the vanilla one. I sometimes wear that alone because it smells so good.
Ooh.
Girl, no. Oh. I got that in my mouth. And then the heavy cream one that, sometimes I wear this alone. This one's actually lasting a lot longer than that one is, and I put this one on more. But
I feel like I should be in a tanning bed with this one. She gets so mad when I use her stuff.
Where do you
Yeah,
spray
she
your perfume?
steals everything.
Where do you spray your perfume? Just out of curiosity.
Usually my hair, usually my neck, and my arms.
Would you like an example of where I spray mine?
Sure.
That almost
Go
went in the
ahead,
crotch
honey.
area. So, I do a spray, depending on which one I want to do heavier, which is usually this one. So I do a couple of sprays behind the ear, right? Okay, I do some on the collarbone. I sometimes in my hair because it is a hair mist, I think, right? The hair mist. Hair and body for.
I have a cramp.
Can you not do that while I'm explaining?
I have a cramp. Okay.
Oh, but first, sorry, hold on, I forgot the main thing. The main thing I do is lotion first. So I always do like a lotion for the fragrance, in my opinion, to stay on longer. That probably isn't how it works, but that's how I'm gonna do it. So then I do that, and then I also go right here for both, and then I go right here, and then I go on the back of the knee.
Is that what that maneuver was earlier? Oh, she did this funny little thing, like it was almost like a dance move with it. I was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Oh,
I hit that maneuver all the time.
Okay, we're gonna have.
And then
cut.
sometimes
I gotta reposition.
and then sometimes I open up my pants and spray in my pants.
I'm getting a cramp in my side.
That's how I feel at the movie theaters, and I feel bad because I'm always like moving. But yeah, those are the main things that I
These are the main things.
that's where I spray. It's not mine, is it?
It's fantastic.
Can
Actually,
I have
it's not
mine?
bad.
Can I have mine?
This is the watermelon.
Make sure to keep that near your mouth.
Well, that's what I thought I was talking.
Because last
into.
time, because
I started talking into the waterfall.
when I get out of the shower, I never go a day without putting lotion on my body because I can't.
That's good.
No, because if I don't have something on, I'll feel musty, and I don't know why. I have to always have something on my body. If not, I'll have a bad day.
I agree.
I'm being serious.
I love to go in there.
Maybe that's unhealthy.
No, it keeps your body
It
nice
does. Nice and clean.
nice and clean.
Nice
So
and
fresh
clean.
and
That's
so
hurting
clean.
my. Ow! These are going off. Oh man, woo! Get a brawl going on.
Throw hands.
Throw hands. Like I'm gonna do that. Since we're talking about our God, you want to talk about the Riptide?
Sure. I'm gonna let you tell it though.
You know my storytelling skills are not good. Okay, I think it's my ADHD talking, because I can't, like, I have, when I try to tell a story, like, I'll remember halfway through where I'll tell it, and then halfway through I'll remember that I forgot to tell something in the beginning, and then I'll have to start over, and then I just start getting like this, and then I don't know what I'm talking about, and then I get really, really, really fast with my words, and then I start mixing everything up, and then the person I'm telling it to has no idea where I'm going. So, okay, when was this? Like 2021, 2022? I think it was 2022.
I think it was 2022.
2022.
Yeah.
We were at the beach with my grandparents and my best friend, and we were the day before we were riding the waves, because that junk's fun. Okay, you've never ridden a wave. Anyways, okay, story going on. So we were riding it, everything was fine, it was shallow water, this, that, perfect surfboard, it was calm, but there was big waves. So we were trying to do that the next day, and this was the day after Father's Day. Remember?
I do.
It was the day after Father's Day.
Mm-hmm.
So we're walking up. Were we in Pier Park?
No, we were at
St. Andrews.
St. Andrews.
We're at St. Andrews, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you've never been, there's a pier. We were at where the pier is. We were swimming under there, and when Mom even called out, because there's a flag sign, right? Mom,
Hindsight's 2020.
and she called out. She was like, "Oh, look, there's a double red flag. This is what this means. This is what this means.
And
this
if
is
you
what
get
this means."
caught in a rip current, make sure you swim sideways
She
out
even
of it.
called the rip current. That was God.
God
He was trying to stop us, and we did not listen. We were just like, "Oh, that's cool. Never seen one of those before."
Yeah, it was a new sign. Like we were literally there the day before.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden this sign is there.
And we were like, "Oh,
We're like, oh,
we should go look for one." That'd be so cool if we saw one.
We did not say that, but anyway, we're being facetious.
Yes, that was God. We realized after the moment that was God saying, "Please,
stay out of the water.
Please, my name, stay out of the water." So we go in the water, and I noticed that there's like little holes, and then like there was a little dip that you go into, and then you step on high, and you dip and step on flat, and you dip and step on. I was like, that's odd. Never experienced that one before.
Let me interrupt you too, because normally when I go out with you guys, I always have this rhythm of I sit out on the chair or in the sand and get hot, and then I go into the water.
You don't usually go in immediately.
I don't go in immediately, and then this time, for whatever reason, again I was pulled to the water, and I said, "Nope, I'm going to go out there right now." Had I not done that, it would have been a very different situation.
And you're going to hear that situation in a minute. So we're going in, and I'm like, okay, this is odd. I've never felt that before. Oh, well, let's go have fun. So we ignore it, and we have our little boogie boards. My best friend Kenna, she has one. I have one. And so Mom's behind us. Kenna is in front of me. And then we're pretty close to the pier.
And they weren't that far out.
Which is very bad. Now that I think about it, you should not be close to a pier.
Yeah, but you guys were not far out. It
No, we
wasn't
weren't.
even up to your knees.
We were.
I mean, when the waves came, it was, but it was not. They were not far out at all.
Yeah, no. And we swam past this family, and they were like, "This is getting a little strong. We should get out." Another key clue. You see how many clues there are? How many clues that the Lord is giving us right now, and we're just like, oh,
now mind you, that family had like a little 2-year-old that they were holding, and they were like, it's getting a little rough.
Yeah.
And at that point, my knees are starting to buckle when the water's going back out. So I was about to say something to you guys about coming in just a little bit more, like, might want to move in, but you had already told her, hey, it's getting a little rough. We ought to move back in. And you had already started to come in. And then at that point, so you had already turned, and I see Kenna trying to get in, and I see her eyes just get really wide. And she tells you, she was like, "I'm trying to come in, but I can't." You remember that?
I do, and I remember she was like, "I can't reach." I was like, "I can't reach." I think I was on my tippy toes, but there was a wave that came. I couldn't feel anymore. I could not feel the ground. I couldn't get a grip, like it was bad.
When I saw her eyes get wide, I knew she was in trouble. And so I still had gripping, and so I ran out and I grabbed her.
And
She was on her
meanwhile,
boogie board.
meanwhile she's grabbing her. I'm booking it to the pillars because just in case I cannot, like, I lose my strength, I lose, like, I cannot swim anymore, I can always hold on to those pillars.
Hmm.
And if I needed to, bounce off of them to get to the shore. Like, in my mind, I was like, pillars
Well, that was
for
after.
safety.
That was after because you had moved in a little bit, and then I had gone to grab her and I started to pull her in, and then a wave came and I jumped the wave. That's the mistake I made. I jumped the wave so that it didn't crash against me because I mean these waves were kind of
They were.
high, and I jumped it. And when I came back down, the ocean floor was no longer there, and that's where I made a mistake. And we had a guy to the right of us. If you were looking at us from the shore, to the right of us, he was out further than us, but he was on a float,
Mhm.
and we were hollering. I mean, he was from here to the wall right there, and we were
We
hollering,
were
and he
yelling.
yelling at the top of our lungs, and he didn't. So that's when we decided to book it to the side. And all this happened in a matter of
It was
seconds. I
so
mean, it was so
quick.
quick, and we knew to go sideways.
Yes.
And when we made the decision to go sideways, we chose to go towards the pier because we, like you said, we knew we would have something that we could hold on to until help came. Whereas the other side, we were afraid we were just going to be swept out into the ocean.
Yeah.
And so
I've never swam so fast in my entire life to
you,
a pier before.
you were so fast.
I've
And
never.
here I am tugging,
My doggy
Kenna.
paddle skills.
Here I am trying to tug Kenna and stuff. And we do get there. We get under the pier, and which is a bad thing, by the
Because it's
way.
stronger under
It's
there.
stronger under there.
People
The
fishing.
barnacles, people fishing. And so we were literally bouncing. The goal was to bounce from each pier leg up
Mhm.
and use the force of the wave to make it to the next one.
Yeah.
And it never happened that way.
I stayed in the same exact spot. Every wave I was trying to get like closer and closer.
Hmm.
It kept me in one spot and I was like, I'm never getting out of this.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing the shore. We were like, we were not that far away from the shore the last time I looked. When I got underneath that pier,
We were
people
almost,
looked little to me.
yeah, we were almost all the way out to
We
the end
were,
of the
if you
pier.
know how long that pier is, we were almost to the huge part where like the box is, where
Hmm.
like it's bigger. We were almost out to there. And I remember screaming to my mom because I was like, if I lose her, if I lose my mom, that's gonna be the end of me.
Oh my God, it
She
was
would
so
my blood curdling scream, never
blood
screamed like that in my
curdling.
life.
Yeah, it was awful.
And I, in the middle of that, I was praying. I was like, God, please help me. Please get me out of this. Please get me out of this. Please get me out of this. Please get me out of this.
I'm like so
And
emotional right now.
like I was like, yes, because it's a PTSD moment. It's like you don't
Yeah,
feel it and then you
it
talk
was
about it and you're like,
terrifying.
oh. And I was like, God, please get me out of this. Please get me out of this. And like 5 minutes pass. I look
Hang on, let me
backwards.
tell you. Oh wait, is this the where we get out?
Mhm. I look backwards and I see that my mom and Kenna are already past the pillars and they're still going diagonal. You guys did really good with that.
Well,
Still going
before
diagonal.
we move on to the next part of that story, was the part of my story where I was exhausted. So we weren't all the way past the pillars, but we had made it a little bit past the pillars. And we no longer had the pillars to hold on to or bounce off of. And Kenna and I are just getting beaten to death with these waves, and I am exhausted. And I remember asking Kenna, "Can I please hold on to your board?" Because I had to breathe. And I remember looking around going, how am I going to get my girls out of this situation? Like, I had this moment of hopelessness, and I never prayed. I never prayed. And that's where I've always admired you, because my mind was not, God, get me out of this situation. It was, how can I get my girls out of this situation? So my mind was what's plan A, plan B, plan C? Like, what can I do? And I remember hollering as I'm taking a breath. I see that woman with the 2-year old, and I'm waving and we're screaming, and nobody, I mean, they are so close to us, and it's like they just did not hear us. We
It
were,
felt like a movie. You know, like in those dreams where you're like trying to run away from the snake or whatever you're getting chased after, you just cannot run. Or like you're trying to hit
yeah,
somebody and you just cannot hit them. That's what it felt like.
yeah. And I remember the girl that I was standing next to that we had passed with the 2-year old,
Yeah.
she sees me, and I start waving my arms and I'm screaming help. And at that moment, she understands that we're in trouble. Well, at the same time, there was a guy on the right side of us that's kind of diagonal to me and Kenna on the right, and his daughter is actually past us. So I can tell that the rip current is ending, right? But I can't get there. I just can't get there. And his wife is there, and I'm screaming and I'm hollering. I'm like, sir, sir. And I'm like just screaming. He's not paying me any attention. And I hear his wife, and I can hear him and his wife perfectly clear. And I hear him say, or the wife say, I'm going to go in. It's too rough out here for me. And so then I'm screaming, sir, sir, sir. And I guess he finally heard me, and he turned, and I said, sir, save my daughter, save my daughter. And he looks and he sees you, and he starts running to you. And that's when he grabbed onto you. And then I'll let you pick up from there because now it's your story.
When he grabbed onto me, I was still in the riptide. Like I was trying to get a grip, but the waves literally kept bringing my legs up. Like as he's pulling me, I'm getting pulled. The ocean is pulling me where I was, trying to get me out in the ocean, and he was pulling me. He wasn't in it. I was literally in the line. In the line, he was pulling me, trying to get me
And
out,
you
but
were
I was still getting pulled. And then right as I can reach and the current that I'm out of the current, you guys
same exact time.
immediately get out of the current. We all get out
Same exact
same
time.
exact time. And they had nobody to hold on to them or grab them. I was the one getting pulled.
Hmm.
And I was on my own. Like that was me fighting for myself. And hearing that people, like, it takes chains to get people out of
Oh
riptides,
my God.
knowing that I did that by myself and they did that by themselves was like, we survived that. We could have very well not.
It could have been a very
It could have
different
been
story.
very bad. And
And you want to know what the hardest part was? Is that I had Kenna. I knew that she was further out. I had to get her. It tore me to pieces that I couldn't get to you. I knew that you would be okay though because you were in front of me. As long as you were in front of me, I knew that you were okay. I had to make a choice that day because I knew I could only save one of you. And I chose Kenna because she was further out.
Mhm.
It was the right choice, but
Yeah.
that was the hardest thing as a parent because Kenna's like my daughter. She calls me mama. That was the hardest thing, was to choose one. And I'm glad I chose the right choice, but that just wasn't me. That was God too. And you
Mhm.
prayed
I
the entire
did.
time.
And so after we get out, I'm
Hold on. Let me tell you, these girls get out. Lana, she's walking to the shore. She doesn't even look at the guy. Both the girls are like this, looking down. Their eyes are all wide and they're exhausted. And Lana just is looking down at the ocean with her eyes like this. And she's like, thank
thank
you.
you.
And she's she's
That's what I was
walking
gonna
by.
say. That was like immediately when I got out. Like we were in shock. And again, she's not exaggerating. We were both looking at, and I was like, thank you.
She never looked up. She's just this terrified look of just looking in the water. And she's like, thank you. And we're all of us just walking out of the ocean like nothing ever happened. And honestly,
No one ever
no
said, are
one
you
ever saw it.
okay? Are you good? Like, no one ever saw that.
The man did turn around and tell his daughter that she needed to come in. I think it scared him. But she was just out there. She wasn't looking towards the shore. She was just looking out in the ocean. And she was just like kind of wading in the water back and forth with her hands.
Now,
And
I
she was just.
remember before he grabbed me, I had to push off.
Mm-hmm.
I had to push off of the pillar. And I think I got slammed back into it. I can't remember,
I
but
think you did. That's
I
what you
do
said.
remember, yeah, I do remember that I got pushed into it and I had to push off of it. And so we're walking out
And we sit down,
and we sit down and I think I'm on my boogie board. Or
and you're
no, I think
behind me.
I lost that. I think I let it
You
go.
lost it.
I let it go because I was like, that's holding me back.
You're on Kenna's.
Yeah, the sand. Mom was packing up everything.
What was happening is they sat down, they plopped.
Like, I
They
was
were
so
exhausted.
exhausted.
Their bodies, they were physically, I mean, just think about just running a, freaking marathon and how you're going to be when you sit down. I mean, their bodies were just physically exhausted. Their breath, they were like their bodies were going in with their breath. And I was trying to get a bottle of water to give to them. And as I'm getting the bottle of water, I'm not looking. So I never looked at
I
them.
wasn't looking either. I was looking out into the ocean. I was looking at my mom. I was looking at Kenna. And then I looked down and I'm like, Kenna? And she's like, Mama? I was bleeding.
Blood
My
everywhere.
foot was cut open, like both of my feet. I think this one was the worst one.
It
One
was.
of the
You
one
were
of, It was on the
sliced.
side. It was on the side of one of them, and then it was on the top of the other one. It was sliced open, and I was gushing
Those
out.
barnacles. That's what makes
Mhm.
those so dangerous, is those barnacles.
And so I got cut open by those barnacles. Those are the only two places that I saw at the moment that I was bleeding
Mhm.
because the sand was covered in it. The sand was covered in blood, and I was like, because I didn't know how bad this gash was gonna be. I didn't feel it. Because I was in so much shock. I did not feel it cut me. And so I'm just looking down and I'm like, oh, there's a bunch of blood down here. And then mom sees it. She's like, holy crap. And so she takes out water and pours it on my feet.
Because I knew it was sterile.
Yes.
We had just opened it,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to clean it at
I
the
think
moment.
it was actually this one.
Yeah, I think so.
It was that one.
And so I'm trying to see what the damage is, and I see how sliced it is, and I was like, we've got to go.
Yeah.
And so the craziest part of this story is that my husband, your daddy, was up on the pier the whole time looking for us. He saw that little boy that his dad had to go out and run out and save because he got panicked, but he never saw us because we were below him. And so as I'm grabbing everything, I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to carry her? How am I going to carry all this stuff? How are we going to do this? I'm like, could you walk? I think.
Yeah.
And
And I
so,
could.
so we got you up to the top, and I had you stop, and I think I was pouring more water to get to clean out
Yeah,
the
you were.
sand. And that's when James walks up to us.
We just got on the pier.
We did. We came up the side.
We came up the sides and we got on the pier.
stopped, and that's when I started washing your wound out again.
Because we were out of the sand.
And then
we went to yeah. Did you call Daddy or did he show
no,
up?
he was there. He was walking.
He literally just showed up, and we told him what happened, and he was like, "What?"
So we grab you, we bring you home, we wrap you up, we get you into the bathtub back at the condo, and this is where we're starting to see all the cuts.
Girl,
that she
I
endured.
was in
blood
the bathtub.
everywhere.
Kenna was holding on to me. I was in that bathtub. Kenna was by my side the whole time. She was holding on to me, and we had hydrogen peroxide. I was sitting in it, and that's when I found out that I had more cuts.
And
I think there was one on my butt. There was one on my hand.
In your back.
In my back.
We had my mom there, your Grammy.
Yeah.
And we're still in
shock mode.
Shock mode, but
it doesn't really hit us.
As a parent, though, we're still in I've got to take care of my child mode. And once I knew that she was okay, she's just sitting there. I think you and Kenna just sat there and cried, held each other and cried.
We did.
I walked out to the front of the condo and I sat down. And that's when it hit me of I couldn't save my own child. And I just start bawling. I'm going to do it again.
No, stop.
This is where I've got the best mom in the entire world because she knew I wasn't okay.
Yeah.
And she came out there and she just started rubbing my back and stuff. And your daddy, God love him, he's so great, but he was mad at the moment too. Like later on, I'm out there just bawling because I couldn't save you. And then you have all these emotions of did I do the right thing? And you're going through every single step in your brain. And did I do the right thing? If I would have done this differently, would she still be this hurt? And would I this and that? And anytime Lana gets hurt, whether it's burnt or anything, her daddy just gets mad. He gets upset with every right. But
bad.
In his mind, and this is where we had a little friction there and we really had to stop and communicate because I'm still all in my emotions. I'm still crying. I'm still upset. And I'm thinking, and I'm talking through what we did. And And he's like, why didn't you just go the other way? She would, his mind was, she could have gotten so much, you could have gotten so much more hurt. You could have busted your head. You could have, when the wave brought you back, it could have, caused you to go unconscious and go into water. And that's what his mind was thinking. And he was like, why didn't you just go the other way? And so then you start questioning every single thing that you did, and
And
wondering if that
it
was the
doesn't
right thing.
help.
It
It doesn't
doesn't
help
help
when
in that.
people are
It doesn't help in that
bashing
moment.
you for it.
And he wasn't bashing me.
Yeah, he was scared himself.
He was. It took me a kind of like a couple hours to calm down and think rationally, because I took it as a initial hit towards me. I did something wrong, when in all actuality, it was his way of processing what happened and wondering what we should do next time if that ever happens again. Whereas I took it personally.
Yeah.
And that's not what his intentions were.
It's just how he
And
handled it.
it's how he handled it and how he processed it. And I understood at that moment that I was processing it the way I needed to, and he was processing it the way he needed to. And then once we calmed down, and I still think to this day, did we do the right thing?
Yeah.
Maybe instead of swimming outwards, maybe we should have dove under like we do when we're
No.
underwater, and made, because it's easier to swim that way.
I think the pier was a great option, because if anything came to fail, if we didn't go that way, what if that was the way of the riptide?
Exactly. I don't know
Worse.
how far that
I know
riptide
that
went.
we were safer underneath that pier, even though it was stronger under there. We still had something to grab onto if we lost our breath.
Yeah, that's true. That
But
was the
I
scariest
remember
moment of my
walking
life.
out. I remember walking out, and I was like, "Where's my mom? I just almost died. Where is she?" Like, I was like, "Why did she leave me? Like, where did she go?" And I remember Grammy seeing me, and that was the tightest hug I think I've ever gotten from my grandmother, and I bawled. I was crying so freaking hard, because that's when it hit me. That's when it hit me, is when she hugged me, and I was like, "Oh."
I did not want you and Kenna to see me cry. That was the hardest day of my life. Yeah.
And after, I think the next day is like when we really processed it, and we were like, God gave us all those signs, and we just totally disregarded it.
We did not listen. We were not.
And he was probably like, see, look, come on, just because you didn't listen, this is what you get.
Yep. I've always admired you, though, that you went to God first in that moment. And I've always questioned myself as to why I didn't. And I think that's just because in our lives, and it's not an excuse, it's not an excuse by any means. I just think that we immediately go into this, I'm here in the moment mode.
I can only save myself.
I can only say, no, I wouldn't save myself, because I wasn't trying to save myself.
No, I know, but like, I'm meaning in that way.
But yeah, it's like we're in the here and now. What are our options? What do I do? Our brain goes into this fight or flight mode, and we were fighting for our lives. And I was like, all I could think about was what I needed to do to get you girls out of it, and all you thought about was God getting you out of it. And I thought that was great. So,
and now my relationship with God is like, wherever you want me to go, I'm going. Wherever you don't want me to go, please give me a sign.
Yeah, I would say that your relationship changed.
It did
immediately with him. I saw it.
It did, and then it took me a couple of years to get where I am now. I'd say that 2025 is when I really understood being a woman of God.
Well, that was for our heavy podcast.
That was our heavy podcast. I want to know your story, and like how you how God saved you. Whether it's something simple like He got you out of a really bad relationship, or it could be car crash. It could be a riptide like us. It could be getting out of a toxic family. Like, whatever you guys, I want to hear it. I want to hear your stories. I want you guys to share it with us.
Safe space.
Yeah, and if you want, we can share it on our next podcast, talking about you guys and how it changed you, and then our intake on it.
Yeah,
our hot take in a good way. I want to know your stories. I want to know how God helped you, and what big event, what tiny event you saw Him help you in,
or changed your life. Or changed, was there for you in that moment that you needed it most.
talk more about it on our next pod.
Or maybe we talk something about lighter, where it's a little bit funnier.
Maybe we can laugh next time.
Yeah. Like about pet peeves or something.
Pet peeves.
Pet
Speaking
peeves.
about pet peeves.
No, next time. Next time. Next time. Yeah?
Yeah.
Save it for our next
Fine.
podcast.
Sure. Okay.
Let's do one pet peeve each
Okay.
as a preface.
Okay.
It's like when you go to the gym because we're about to go, and people know that you're on that machine, and they get on it anyway, and then you have to wait to do your set. Drives me nuts.
Girl.
Drives me nuts.
Hold on. I had one. I can't remember. my one of my biggest pet peeves is when you're talking to somebody and they don't let you talk, and then they talk over you, and then they don't say I'm sorry. They don't say what were you talking about? They just continue on with themselves. And I'm like, I just listen to you ramble on about your life, and then when I speak, oh no, it's about you now.
Until next time.
I know somebody like
I just did it on purpose. It was a joke. It was a joke.
do it to me
Dang,
again.
see, she does
Do it
throw
to me
hands.
again.
She does
I
throw
don't.
hands.
Air hands. What are you talking about? Air hands.
Hands.
Air hands. That's another thing.
I'm
They-
doing it on
no, you
purpose.
don't care about what I have to say. I don't like that because I care about what people say, unless it's something I don't care about. But I care about what people say, and then when they don't care about what I say, I'm like, girl, don't. Okay, first of all, don't ever cut me off again. Like this is
She's
where
not talking to me right now.
this is where I really get upset because I'm like, first of all, don't ever do that because I would never do that to you. Don't ever do that to me again. Just if you don't care, let me talk, then move on with your life. Just let me get what I have to say out, then move on. But that's also the thing is they act interested. They're like, yeah, tell me. You don't listen. You talk. No. But that's just I need to not do that. Our light just went out. I need to not do that. And I'm trying to learn to get out of that mindset, but some people test it a little bit. I'm kidding. I wouldn't physically do anything. Until next time, you didn't ask.
But we're going to tell you anyway.